there was a really bizarre toxic positivity coddling situation trend on BookTok, and this is not one of those videos that's like BookTok murdered literature, death of literacy, BookTok at the source. This is not one of those YouTube videos. I love BookTok. I've been on BookTok for 5 years. That was my intro to online book communities. BookTok helped get me back into reading during the pandemic. Some of the greatest books I've ever read in my life are because of BookTok. I deeply resent this weird trend on YouTube that's like, bad thing, BookTok, which isn't to say that like nothing bad happens on BookTok. I also hate BookTok. It's a very, very much so love-hate relationship. I hate the side of BookTok that goes viral on here. But there's this trend that I see mainly on BookTok, but not exclusively on BookTok. I see it in other places. It's just that I'm on BookTok most often, so I see it most often there. I'm sure if I were in other places, I'd also see it there. Like, I do see it on Threads. I do see it on Instagram. I do see it on Twitter. There is this really frustrating thing. It's like a three-way combination of evil things. Toxic positivity. There is a really large collective of readers and reviewers that think any sort of negative review is inherently mean and finds it to be very unnecessary. Like, the only reason why anyone would have anything negative to say is out of malicious intent, and not because they're a critical reviewer, and not because they have free will and have the right to share negative thoughts just like they can share positive thoughts about a book. But also, there are these two double-edged swords: the far too easy accessibility to authors via social media and the ease of self-publishing these days. And like I said, double-edged swords for both of those things, because there's nothing I love self-publishes. I love self-published books. I love indie authors. I love indie authors so much. Some of the greatest books I've ever read in my entire life, Angels Before Man, one of my favorite books of all time. I own multiple copies of Angels Before Man. I love Angels Before Man. Are you joking? I also love being able to see like what kind of memes my favorite authors are into. I love when they do like fandom-based interactions, and I also recognize that a lot of them need to be on social media these days in order to promote and sell books. There are very few authors who can get away with being offline, and that's because they already have these giant, like, well-established books that are like super mega worldwide successful. Like, Suzanne Collins doesn't need to be on Instagram because it's Suzanne Collins. But these things have their downfalls. Like, sometimes having access to an author's every passing thought is awful. And sometimes, far too often, these authors don't know how to handle being in review spaces correctly. They don't know how to respect review spaces because they don't know how to handle critical reviews, negative reviews of their work. If you are a working creative, and I've said this a million times, I've said this on this channel, if you are a working creative, you have to accept that there are people who are not going to like your work. And that, coupled with the ease of self-publishing these days, you have these people who don't send their work to like beta readers, who don't have outside sources proofread, or don't like send their work to people who are going to be critical of their work, who send their work to Yes Man, or don't send it out to anywhere at all because they can't handle the feedback, and instead hit publish, instead like let the public consume it and lash out and fall into a puddle of tears whenever someone didn't like it. And as a result of like these combinations of things, there's this really bizarre relationship that I see happen often on social media where readers have these relationships and these connections to their favorite indie authors. In fact, they might have a friendship with these indie authors because they're so accessible. They can DM them, they can chit chat with them at any time, they can have inside jokes with them. That's like their bestie. And it has all somehow warped into their respect and care and love for indie authors and the indie author community holding indie works to a lower standard of quality. There are a lot of people who are of the opinion that you cannot and should not negatively review in any capacity an indie published work. They need to cushion those ratings. When you're a creative making work for public consumption, you cannot control how the public consumes your stuff. It just feels like coddling as well for these grown adults to say that like you're not allowed to say anything negative because they tried their hardest, they tried their best. This isn't a participation trophy situation. Everyone tries hard. Maybe not James Patterson, but like everyone else tries their hardest. And not everyone gets that, and you're not owed. I think that's what really gets me. I'm sorry, you're not owed a successful career because you really wanted it. We all want things. What's that one Gia Gunn well, what you want to do is not necessarily what you're gonna do. But I hate this demonization and this attack on critical readers and critical reviews. I think this absolutely ties into the anti-intellectualism discourse that is constantly in flux. Because what do you mean the only opinion you want to hear about any book ever is, it was so great, I loved it. Love it, heart. I can't stand it when there are indie authors who participate and encourage this type of fandom behavior, who agree with their fans and reduce any sort of negative review as an attack on them, as bullying them, as hater behavior that they'll try their hardest to not be broken by, and like demand comfort from this fan base that they already have far too close of a relationship with at this point. I remember having a conversation about this at last year's BookNet Fest, at BookNet Fest 2024, which, side note, I will be at again this year for 2025. I'm so excited. It's next week. But I remember I was on a panel for something. I don't even remember what. And I don't remember how we found our way to this conversation, but it was it was based off of a question talking about how social media has impacted review spaces. I think that there was like a specific question about that. It might have been a panel about being a content creator, if I'm being honest. But I remember saying something about how I miss the days where authors were these like mysterious, far away, distant writers in a castle or something who you never saw or heard from. And how I think that's the way books should be, if I'm being honest. How in a perfect world, that's the way authorship is. Because people do get far too comfortable with these weird, bizarre, parasocial relationships with their favorites. These people assign themselves to be the bodyguard for their favorite author, and their authors are encouraging it. And in an ironic twist, these authors and their fandoms are being the bullies in the name of being anti-bullying, when really all it is just anti-critical opinion. And this is something I've been worked up about for years. I get so annoyed with this often, but there's like a current issue about the same thing. Someone went on BookTok and gave a critical but very kind and respectful negative review of a book series, where they preface multiple times, like they say it multiple times at the very beginning and all throughout the review. They're like, everyone has different opinions, everyone has different tastes, don't let this sway whether or not you're gonna pick it up, you might love it, all of those annoying cushioning phrases that should not be necessary but are, and still didn't do anything to work, because that girl still got like torn to shreds in her comment section, and the author went on her social media and was like, yeah, I saw the video on me, you know you've made it when you have haters. Get a grip. And all I can think about is like there was a TikTok account like a year or two ago, I think maybe a year ago, where it was one account run by a group of friends, and it was called Future New York Times Bestsellers. And it's one of my favorite like bizarre short-lived drama controversies to happen on BookTok, because one of the women in the group posted a video talking about how anyone who posts a review that's 3 stars or below to like any book is an asshole. She said that if you post a review that's 3 stars or below, you're an asshole, because writing a book is really hard. No one even posted a statement. It just got deleted. The whole account deleted. And I would give anything to know what went down in that friend group's group chat. Like, it's so those parents that give the other sibling a present on one sibling's birthday so they don't feel left out, or let that sibling blow out the first sibling's candle so they don't get upset that it's not about them. Like, it's very much so that, where it's these children who have been raised with the expectation to be rewarded and awarded for existing, but all grown up and under the guise of like professionalism. Because here's the thing, this is a professional career. This is someone's job. They are being the thing that they claim to hate, that whenever they see a negative review and they get so upset that they have to comment on it, you are negatively reviewing the negative reviewer. Oh, how the turntables. You understand exactly what it means to dislike something and share their opinion. And I don't know how to end this beyond, I think this is stupid and awful and I hate it. Thank you for watching my negative review of people who negatively review negative reviews. Oh, and since we're on topic, BookNet Fest, I'm actually going to be on I'm gonna be on a panel, The Art of the Review, where it's an entire panel where three of us talk about what it means to be a good reviewer, or like how to navigate book reviews online. I did not make this video to be a plug. It's just like these things are coinciding at the same time. And I hope I see you guys there. It's May 23rd and 24th in Orlando, Florida. But I'm still so annoyed by it all.